For about as long as I can remember, video games have been a very, very big part of my life. I've spent so much of my time playing them. I've spent so much of my money on them. And of course, my parents spent their fair share of their money on my video games as well. Video games are also a big reason why I wanted to start doing YouTube in the first place. I watched a lot of other gamers do Let's Plays and video game stuff on YouTube. And when I finally got my first PC, built it, I decided, it'd be fun. And my first few videos on the channel were gaming videos as well. So obviously, there's not a lot that beats video games, and as I reach an advanced age now, I'm 28 years old, I think, is it time to put them down? No, never. Because, there's so many good things about video games. First off, like, in Minnesota, you get a lot of cold winters. So just being able to sit down on a Friday night and, either sit down and do a nice single player experience or sit down with your friends and play some multiplayer stuff. It's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and something that I hope as I get older here, I never let go of. But anyway, I thought it would be a fun idea to do a top 20 video games list of all time for me. I did the same thing with TV shows, but I hadn't done it with video games, so I thought it'd be a cool idea. So that's what we're gonna do today. A little bit of a precursor before we start, though. I didn't know exactly how I wanted to form the list. At first I was thinking maybe like one title from each series of games, but I guess I didn't really do like multiple titles from a series, but like there's gonna be multiple Mario games that pop up in this. But I tried my best just to pick my favorite game from each series of video games, and I put them into this list here. So without further ado, let's get into that. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me, leave a like on the video. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite video games of all time. Let me know what I missed, what games you would recommend I play if they're not on this list, because obviously there's a lot of games out there. You're going to notice there's some games on here that you're going to be like, how did that not make your list? I apologize for that. But when I was younger, I didn't finish a lot of games. I played a lot, but never really finished them. So there are some games I missed out on. Plus, I didn't get into PlayStation until PlayStation. I had a PS2, but I didn't really get into PlayStation until the PS4. So remember that as we go through this list. So anyway, let's start off. I said it was going to be a top 20 video. It's going to be a top 21 because I cannot leave this game out. Number 21 on the list is Super Mario 64. Now, Super Mario 64, does it hold up today? No, not really. But when you think about the influence that this game had on video games as a whole, for me, I think it was, from what I can remember, like my first console game I had, because I remember my grandpa came over, brought me and my brother the Nintendo 64, and Super Mario came with it, and man, what an experience that game was. What it did for video games as a whole throughout time. It was really the first game that popularized and used the 3D model, 3D platforming, and just what they were able to do with the game it's such an important part of video game history. It's the first time we got to see the Italian plumber who saves the princess in 3D format, and it was amazing, fun game. I had to put it on the list just because of how influential it was for video games as a whole. So that's why that ranks at number 21. Number 20 on my list is a game that's really recent to me, Apex Legends. Now, I haven't even been playing it for a year yet, but I already have 300 hours into the game. So it did need to make my list. When it comes to Battle Royales, I didn't get into Battle Royales until Apex. I played like 2 matches of Fortnite, then I played a little bit of Call of Duty Warzone, but those never really spoke to me. But when I played Apex, it's my favorite BR for multiple reasons. And the first reason is the movement. The gameplay is incredible. None of the other BRs match it. Just the things you can do with the movement are absolutely amazing. The variety in characters as well. Each legend, they have their own set of abilities. It adds another level to this game as well. The guns are cool. There's a lot of variety in the weapons. Anything you can think of gun-wise, they have it. The feeling when you crack a shield and down an enemy is just like the effects, and just the feeling you get while you do it is unmatched, and it's so cool, so much fun. It's a game that does get frustrating, and with the popularity of BRs, everybody's playing them. Everybody tries pretty hard at these games now just because they're big streamer games, but Apex Legends is so much fun. It's a game that, like I said, short time with it, but it's so good. It's so good. A lot of fun. So Apex Legends pops in at number 20 on my list. Moving on to number 19, Resident Evil Village. Now, this game is a game that I was really waiting for. I didn't play a ton of horror games growing up. I was a scaredy cat, but now I'm really starting to enjoy them a lot more. Resident Evil Village was actually the first full-length Let's Play I did on the channel here, so if you haven't checked that out, I got the playlist on the channel. Go check that out. Super fun game. Carried on the story from Resident Evil 7. You play it as Ethan Winters. Just there's so many good things about the game. The scenery was amazing. When you go to the village, and then the first place you go after that is you go into the castle, and then House Beneviento. And as you move on through the game, it's just the scene, the imagery was absolutely amazing. The gunplay is a little wonky, as they always have been in Resident Evil games, especially the last two first-person ones. But just the way that this game, the story was solid. The gameplay was fun. The shopping with the Duke was amazing. It was a game that I was really into, and I was super excited for it. And it, like I said, first Let's Play series on the channel, it had to crack the top 20. So at 19, I think that's a really fair spot. It could have done a few things better, but overall, I thought it was a really solid experience and a game that I really enjoyed my time with. I want to go back. The Shadows of Rose DLC drops in October. I'll be playing that on the channel here. Make sure to wait for that. But yeah, at number 19, Resident Evil Village. Now, let's move on to number 18, Mario Party 7. Now, Mario Party 7 was, I had played the old Mario Party games back on the N64, but Mario Party 7 just it hit differently. Me and one of my friends, we'd play it all the time. There was the mini games with the little microphone that came with it. Just the stages were super cool. The one where like you were in like the Old West, and then there was the space one was probably the one we played the most. So many good things with Mario Party 7. The mini games were all super fun. It was just. And they've improved upon the formula, of course, with the most recent ones for the Switch. They've been really, really good. But man, when I think back to my favorite like party games to play, Mario Party 7 is very, very high up on that list. And that's why it ranks at number 18 of my favorite video games of all time. Super fun game to play with all your friends at the end of the day. Super fun. So that's why that checks in at number 18. Another Mario entry checks in at number 17. The story in Mario Kart series, my favorite Mario Kart game was Mario Kart Double Dash. So that checks in at number 17. Obviously, the old Mario Kart games were single player. You could play with friends, but single player experience, you're all in it for yourself. You're in the cart, you drive, you shoot the items at your enemies, that type of stuff. Mario Kart Double Dash entered into like the co-op realm by adding a second person into the cart. So one person drove and one person controlled the items, and you could even I think using the bumpers, you could bump the opponents as you drove by them. I really enjoyed Mario Kart Double Dash. Same friend I played Mario Party 7 with, we spent a lot of time playing Double Dash. And that's kind of why it holds a special place in my heart and makes this list. Mario Kart games are so fun, but Double Dash definitely is my favorite of all of them, just because of the added aspect of that co-op. And it was just, I don't know, the maps were super cool. And I remember at the end, if you completed the whole thing, I think up to 200cc, you got the really cool gold cart, which I do think we got before we quit playing it. But Mario Kart is still a fun game to me, but Mario Kart Double Dash, when I think back, just it holds that spot, and it's super fun. I really, really enjoyed that one. Moving on, number 16 on my list is Diablo 3. Now, Diablo 3 was a game that I never played on PC, and when it came to console, me and the same friend that I played Mario Party 7 and Mario Kart Double Dash with, I got Diablo 3 for the 360. He came over, we started playing it. We were both a little skeptical at first, but man, it's just, Diablo 3 was such a fun experience. I've played through the story twice, and I started it a third time on PC actually. But just like the story is what the story is, it's kind of, it's whatever. With me, I didn't really play it for the story. The gameplay though, the view from above of your party, the variety of combat. Each different character has their own moves. Each button is a different type of ability and moveset, and they each have a big list of what you can choose from within them. So there's a lot of variety. You can play the game multiple times and do different things every time. Even if you pick the same character, you can have a different set of abilities. The combat's fun. The looting system, you loot, you go back to town, you break stuff down, you sell stuff, you buy new stuff, you craft. Just everything about Diablo 3 was an amazing video gaming experience. I can't wait for Diablo 4. Diablo Immortal is what it is. We won't talk about that. But Diablo 3, super fun video game. A lot of fun to play with your friends. You can play with up to 4 people. Good times. Happy I ended up getting into that game. It's great. Checks in at number 16 on my list. Number 15 is a game that I'm actually playing right now, and that would be the first of 2 Pokemon games on this list, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, checking in at 16. The sequel to Pokemon Colosseum. This game centers around shadow Pokemon. So basically what they are is these organizations, the bad guys in the games catch the Pokemon. They turn them into shadow Pokemon, and use them as fighting machines. And your job in these games is to find them, catch. You had a snag machine to steal them from the other trainer, and then purify their hearts and all this stuff. It was super fun. It was different from the original Pokemon formula, and that's what I liked about Pokemon Arceus, which could have made this list. I didn't put it on here. I picked XD instead, but Pokemon Arceus was like the first game that, since these ones, that changed up the formula a little bit of a mainline Pokemon title. They said they're never going to do another game like Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum, but just the difference in gameplay, the scene, like the visuals were great. The different places you got to go were cool. I mean, Pokemon XD did Shadow Lugia right. I mean, look at this. Look at Shadow Lugia. He is amazing. This was one of my favorite parts about the game. I actually, my first run through back on GameCube, I didn't purify Lugia just because of how cool he looked. But the thing I liked the most about this game was just the difference. It's not your prototypical Pokemon game. They tossed a little bit of a wrench in it. They changed some things up, and I really, really appreciated that. So a lot of fun. I'm replaying it on my PC on an emulator right now, and it's still as much fun as I remember it being back the first time I played it. This was actually a game I sat down with one of my friends, and we kept switching off between fights, and super fun game. Both of them are XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum, but this one takes the cake at number 15. So that's why that is there. Moving on to number 14, the one and only Call of Duty entry on the list, and that is Call of Duty World at War. Now, Call of Duty World at War was actually the first Call of Duty game that I had myself, and I loved it so much. This was before I had online to play multiplayer, but the campaign was amazing. Actually, I think the only game to this day to have a co-op campaign in it, and that was super fun. The multiplayer was cool. Like I said, I played it at my friend's house, but we also played 4-player split screen. Super fun. The World War II aspect of it was amazing. But yeah, this was like the first game that got me into Call of Duty, and I've gotten a lot of the games since. But the best thing about Call of Duty World at War, other than the campaign to me, was the introduction of Call of Duty Zombies. So this game, the first map was Nazi Zombies. They added a few maps after that. Zombies has taken on a life of itself. It's become its own thing. Yeah, so much fun. Just going back and playing on the OG map when you finish the game, and all of a sudden there's the cutscene of zombies running at you, and you're just sitting there like, what is this? And then you play it. Oh, so much fun. Me and one of my friends, I believe it was New Year's that year, the year the game came out. We sat there, we played it all night long. So much fun. That was that's why this is my top Call of Duty game to this day, just because of the introduction to zombies, the gameplay, everything about it was so great. I love Call of Duty World at War. So that's why that checks in at number 14 on my list. Number 13, Spider-Man PS4. Now this game, they made Spider-Man games in the past, but this Spider-Man game takes the cake as the best one. I actually got the limited edition PlayStation 4 Pro Spider-Man version, which was really, really cool. But just the graphics were amazing. The combat was really clean, super tight. Everything about the combat was super fun. The mission structure, as well as some of the side quests you could do, were super cool. But the best thing about the game was just the freedom and feel of swinging through New York. And this game does it the best out of all of them. I mean, I just sometimes turn down the game just to go swinging. You know, it was so much fun. It was well worth spending the money to get that PlayStation 4 for it. Well worth playing. I haven't gotten around to playing Miles Morales yet, but I really want to. I just hope with what the PlayStation 5 can do, I hope that Spider-Man 2 ends up topping this one, and that's a hard thing to do. So much fun. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. It's out on PC now. I would highly recommend going and giving this game a try. Lots of fun. Moving on to number 12 on my list. At number 12 is Gears of War 3. Now, Gears of War 3 was my first Gears of War game. Played it co-op, played through it. The campaign, the story, everything between Marcus and Dom, so much fun. The cast and crew were amazing. The characters were fun. The combat was super fun. All the different guns you could use. Just the kind of the stuff they had you do within the missions. It wasn't just a shooter. You know, there's a lot of other things going on. The multiplayer was solid. This game made me go back and play Gears of War 1 as well as Gears of War 2. Since then, the series has kind of taken a step backwards. Gears of War 4 was okay. Gears of War 5 was But man, Gears of War 3 I think was really the height of the series. I don't know if they're going to get back there again. I haven't heard much on the next Gears of War game, but Gears of War 3 was super fun, and I really, really enjoyed my time with it. Moving on to number 11, the OG Red Dead Redemption. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2, it didn't make this list because I'm still playing it. Another title on this list came out as I was playing it, and it kind of forced me to stop playing it. But the OG Red Dead Redemption was so fun. Obviously, think about Rockstar games. Grand Theft Auto was a lot of fun as well. But there was something about riding around as a cowboy, wrangling horses, doing everything you thought you'd do in the old Western times, between like bounty hunting, as well as, you know, you're kind of in this game, you're an outlaw who used to be part of a gang, and in order to get your wife and kids back from the police or whatever, you had to go hunt down some of the old members of your gang. Red Dead Redemption was so fun. The combat was great. The story was absolutely amazing. Another game with really good variety and weapons. Deadeye ability was super fun. A lot of the characters were really cool. Just an all-around great experience. Red Dead Redemption checks in at number 11 on my list. Moving on to number 10, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this game was the first big game for the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, at the time it released, the Nintendo Switch was hard to come by, but when I finally got my hands on the game, I hadn't had a game in a while where I sat down and played for absolute hours. This was the first one in a long time I did that with. The story was amazing. They did open world right. I know open world games had been getting a little bit stale up to this point, but Breath of the Wild did open world right. The idea behind the weapons you get breaking, and as well as, like I said, the story was good. Using like the actual Switch, you played handheld, as like the Sheikah Slate in the game was super cool. Yeah, a lot of good variety in weaponry. Scenery was amazing. Imagery was great. Graphically, for what the Switch is, it was super cool. Not much more good I can say about Breath of the Wild. It was an amazing experience. A good start to the Nintendo Switch. Another good Nintendo Switch game was Super Mario Odyssey. I didn't include it on the list here because I put Mario 64 on ahead of it, but Mario Odyssey was also fun. Breath of the Wild, to this day, I think, is probably the top Switch game. Number 9 on the list is another Nintendo Switch title. This one was hard for me because there was 3 games I was trying to decide between, but I did end up going with the most recent and the most complete, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 9. What more can you say about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? It was a culmination of all the games up to this point, brought every single character from the Smash franchise into this one game, and then they added what, I think like 15 to 20 more characters or something like that. So much fun. It was an absolute blast. This game was what stopped me from playing Red Dead Redemption 2, actually. Put a ton of time into this one. Then I just think back to the other titles. You got Brawl and Melee. Those games, Brawl and Melee, were so fun. Brawl was a game when that first came out that me and a few of my friends, we would go to my friend's house and just play all night long, to the point where we were so loud his mom woke up and was not happy with us. But good times with Super Smash Brothers. I was never very good at it, but man, and they added a cool character at the end that we'll talk about later when I get to his game. So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate checks in at number 9. Number 8 on my list, God of War PS4, God of War 2018, whatever you want to call it. I didn't play the OG God of War games. I watched a lot of gameplay on them before this one came out, but God of War was so good. I mean, it wasn't obviously as hard as Dark Souls, but it took a little of that Souls-like gameplay to where it's a lot more about, like, the first games are hack and slash. This one's more of like you guard, you counter, use some of your abilities that you have, but just the combat was cool. Getting like a Leviathan axe is what it was called, that kind of acted like Thor's hammer. A really cool addition to the game. At one point, spoiler alert, you do get the Blades of Chaos from the original game, so that's a nice little added touch for the fans of the old games. Story was amazing. Just seeing the growth of the relationship between Kratos and his son Atreus was great, as they were going to do what their mission was in the game. Oh, such a good experience. As I said, story-wise, graphically, it was so good. This will be topped by God of War Ragnarok when that comes out in November. I'm excited to play that. I won't do a Let's Play, but I'll probably do a review of the game when I'm done with it. Can't wait. That's going to take over the spot. But number 8, God of War. So fun. So a great game for the PlayStation 4. Such a fun game. Awesome. Moving on to number 7. We're bringing back Mario for number 7. Number 7 is kind of controversial, I think, but I went with Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube. This was the game I got with my GameCube when I first got my GameCube, which next to the Xbox 360 is one of the most memorable gaming consoles in my lifetime. Mario Sunshine added the feature of Squirt, who was your little backpack. He could change forms. A lot of the game had to do with, like, there's a Bowser, and Bowser Jr. made a fake Mario, and everyone accused you of ruining the city. So you had to go around and clean up the mess left behind. So you used the water sprayer to do that, and it was such a fun experience. Again, every Isle Delfino was super cool. Just the different things you could do with, like, the backpack, like turning it into a jetpack or a hover pack. Super fun. A lot of variety in the game. Graphically was pleasing. Just a really good Mario title. One of my favorite games that I played on the GameCube. So much fun. I think number 7 is a very deserving spot. I'm waiting for Mario to make a bad game. This game was super fun, and I really, really enjoyed my time with it. Checking in at number 6 on the list is Fable 2 for the Xbox 360. Now, Fable, this was another game that me and a friend of mine, I went to the video store and was looking for a game for us to play. I saw Fable. We were both kind of questionable on it. I grabbed it. The intro sequence got us both thinking, like, what did we do? This game's going to suck. 12 hours later, we were still playing the game. It was really cool. They added a co-op experience to this game. And the second character didn't get to do a ton. I mean, he got to help you fight. He collected coins and level up attributes that he could just give to the main player. But they still got to obviously enjoy a lot of the game. They got to enjoy the story. They got to help you with battles. The Crucible was super fun in Fable 2. The story was great. The fact you could do anything you wanted in that game. You could be good or you could be bad based on the decisions you made. Story was good. Missions were fun. There's a lot of side quests to do. So much in the game. A lot of replayability because you can go back and choose different paths on things. This game was one of those games that I'm really upset that they haven't remade for PC yet and put on Game Pass, because it's a game that I would go back and play. I had a lot of fun with it. Fable 2 is one of my most memorable games on the Xbox 360. Yeah, just a good time. Fable 3 wasn't as good. I'm hopeful now with the Fable reboot that they do it justice. Just with the comedy of Albion and the world you're in, it's a lighthearted, fun game, and I hope that they carry that through into the next sequence in the next Fable game. So I'm excited about that. We'll see when that happens. Number 5 on the list. This might be a little controversial as well, but I put Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess up at number 5. This was a game that I had so much fun with. Again, just being able to turn into the wolf, Midna helping out with stuff. Again, this is another game where there's a ton of variety in gameplay, a ton of different things you could do. The story was good. It's just one of those memorable games, and that's what a top 5 game should be. It's one of those memorable games that when I think back to GameCube, it's one of those first ones that pops up in my mind, along with Mario Sunshine, as well as Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Mario Kart Double Dash and stuff. It's such an amazing video game. There's a lot of good things to say about it. I can make my own video on that. I'm hoping that they reboot it for the Switch. I know they're talking about doing that. If they do, that would be absolutely fantastic. Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess checks in number 5. Number 4 on the list, Xbox 360's flagship game, Halo 3. Now, if you watch my Halo video from last week, I talked about my introduction into Halo. Halo 3 was a game that one of my friends got and beat it in like one sitting and told us how great it was, which got us all to buy 360s so we could all play Halo. Campaign was great. Multiplayer was super fun. They had split screen online multiplayer, which I took advantage of at my friend's house. Everything about Halo 3 was so good. And since then, Halo's taken a step back. Halo 4 was okay. Halo Guardians was meh. And Halo Infinite is just downright bad. And that's what's so depressing, is Halo 3 was such a good game. It's such a memorable game for me. Really got me into like more higher powered console gaming. And just seeing what they've done with Halo up to this point, it hurts. It's disappointing. But Halo 3 always holds a special place in my heart for that reason. So Halo 3, easy number 4 game on my list. Moving up to number 3, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Now, Skyrim, well, I played Oblivion a little bit, but Skyrim, when that game came out, I mean, what's better than anything involving dragons, right? Everybody loves dragons. Again, so much to do in Elder Scrolls Skyrim. It's one of those games where, honestly, the quests never ended. I think they said that there would always be stuff to do. The main story was actually pretty short if you just blew through that, but I don't think anybody did that. There's so much variety. between all the classes you can use. The difference, you could be a dual wielder weapon. You could have one weapon in your hand. You could use magic in the other. You could be an archer. You could do anything you wanted in Skyrim. There's so much replayability just with mixing things up. Plus the dragon shouts were super cool. It's a big open world game. This was before open world got a little stale, but they did it right. One of the best games of my time, one of the best games I can think of. Put so many hours into it. Everybody put so many hours into it. It's so good. They've re-released it like 6 times up to this point. I can't wait for the next Elder Scrolls game when I'm like 50. We'll wait for that. But Elder Scrolls Skyrim, such an amazing video game. Checking in at number 2, my introduction into the Pokemon series. For Game Boy Color, Pokemon Silver version. Now, this game was super cool. Lugia is still one of my favorite legendary Pokemon up to this point, so that's why another reason why Silver is up there. But this was the first Pokemon game I got, and they remade it with doing Soul Silver, and that was super cool. But yeah, Pokemon Johto region was super fun. The starters were cool with Chikorita, with Totodile, with Cyndaquil. So many good things they have with Pokemon Silver. Obviously, they've improved upon the formula since then with the higher graphical power of the newer consoles and stuff. I mean, obviously, graphically, it's not what it is now because it's an old game like it is, but just for its time, this game was amazing. Like I said, so many good games from Pokemon up to this point as well, but Pokemon Silver is really the one that sticks out to me as like my entry into the series, as well as just a super fun video game that I really enjoyed my time with. And yeah, Pokemon Silver, super cool. Obviously, you had Entei, Raikou, Suicune in there as well. Just so much to do in this game as well. Super fun game. Pokemon Silver checks in at number 2 on my list, mainly for nostalgia reasons. Now, number 1, this game this game spans like 15 games over 20 years. I'll just say what it is. Number 1 on my list is Kingdom Hearts. Now, the reason this game, obviously, games after it improved upon the formula. The first game, when you go back and play it now, it's a little bit clunky. The camera angles are terrible. Just some certain things about it still don't hold up today. Kingdom Hearts 2 got everything down. The combat was tight. The spells were cool. They had drive forms and everything. Kingdom Hearts 3 was super fun as well. Some of the other games were what they were, but they weren't, not really like baseline console games. But Kingdom Hearts 1 is just, again, entry into the series. I had never heard about it till I actually hadn't talked to the kid who introduced me. I haven't talked to the kid who introduced me to Kingdom Hearts in a long time, but that's how I really got into it. And it's like the one game, like I said, so many games in so many years, and I've kept up with the story since then. I went back and replayed some of those games in the middle because I hadn't played a lot since Kingdom Hearts 2, but I did play some of the games in the middle before the release of 3. But it is a game that I've always held near and dear to my heart. I love the series, even though it's convoluted as absolute hell, but it's super fun. And as I said, the first game, it's the entry into the series. It holds a nostalgia, and just seeing that they've improved since then on the gameplay. It's just, like I said, I've actually been going back and playing this one as well recently, and it doesn't hold up as well, but it's still just that nostalgia of being the entry into it. It's such a convoluted, great storyline that people think it's a kid's game because it's a mix of Disney and Final Fantasy. The Disney part, people think, oh, you're walking around with Donald Duck and Goofy. How adult can it get? It gets pretty serious. Trust me. If you haven't given it a try, I highly recommend that you do. So that'll do it for my top 20 video games list. Again, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know what you think of my list. Let me know some of your favorite games. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.